All right, let's start with Brian's topic that he wanted to talk about the post that you shared about Satanism or something like that being taught in schools.
Yeah,
Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, man, it's your boy, fuck boy Brian. I mean, and
Brian, shut the fuck up. Just do the podcast, bro.
Yeah.
all right. Anyway, I should have.
That's why you get no bitches.
It's your boy Brian, you know thing.
Super light skin. I mean,
Light
medium
skin,
skin.
even though I'm not
medium
light
skin.
skin.
That nigga's light skin right there. But anyways, I'm sorry, getting off topic. So I should have posted today. That some school somewhere. I forgot the fucking place, but some school
Texas?
somewhere. Probably.
Nah, it was in the Midwest somewhere. bro.
Texas.
Yeah, it gotta be somewhere in
Texas
Midwest.
would have let
Yeah.
that shit go. Texas would have shot them motherfuckers.
So, they are trying to push like a Satanism after school program for the kids, and I was just like, yo, why? And I started noticing a lot of shit like that. And it's like, yo, shit's getting wicked, bro. And then obviously my boy Paul commented on my my post,
That's me. I'm Paul.
and I know he's like a lover of God. We're both lovers of God, and
Amen. Hallelujah.
He
Wakanda
said-
forever.
he said that obviously it's wrong. He told me that's wrong. And then like I was saying though, this nigga here, Steve Robinson,
The third, the fourth, backslashing's fifth.
yeah, all that shit. Little guy over here, fucking always likes to go against me in anything I fucking comment.
That is
and,
not true.
And
Nah,
it's funny, no, that's funny,
Steve
'cause-
just likes to talk shit.
no,
That's
and the
it.
thing is, and the thing
Steve will
is,
play devil's advocate no matter what.
guys, listen. And the thing is, what I did was, I didn't mention his name. I didn't tag him in it. But I told Paul, I said, "Oh yeah, I'm just waiting for Steve to comment on this because I already knew he was gonna lurk sooner or later." And you know, of course, he commented on my post and then fucking said, "I don't see nothing wrong with it." Of course you don't, Steve. You like to go against me with everything.
No,
it's fucking wrong.
that's not true.
It's fucking wrong. Satanism should not be a fucking thing.
Okay, Steve,
All right.
if you want to give...
I'll speak for
you- if
myself.
you wanna give your
Sir
point of
Coon
view.
Reyes. Coon Reyes the fourth.
Alright, go ahead.
Basically, I saw your post like earlier in the day and I ignored it. And then I see it again on my feed on Facebook, obviously.
Cap.
And then it says Paul commented on it. And I'm just like, oh, I wonder what they're saying. And then I saw my name in it. And I wasn't going to comment because I didn't really care about the video. I could care less. So I was just like, this is probably fake. But then turns out it was real. And then I ended up watching the full thing because you mentioned my name. So I watched the full video. And then I made my opinion. And I wasn't purposely trying to be against you. The way I look at it is this, and Paul is right, I do like to play devil's advocate because I want to analyze both sides
Yeah.
first before I just jump to a conclusion.
And I appreciate that. A lot of people don't want to play devil's advocate because they want their side to be right. and whatever,
Exactly,
so.
When it
exactly.
comes to God's side, is always right.
Look, this has nothing to do with...
No, this is more deeper than just God.
This
and
is not
Satan
me
and
about
whatnot,
not
but-
me believing in God and not
Yeah.
being a believer of God. Like, I believe in God, obviously. It's just, with this, I was looking at it from the perspective of how...
The
There
average
are-
person would see it.
How they are, not even just that. Like, there's a lot of people who push God onto children in general.
Yes, and I think that is also just as wrong.
And I think that's wrong. But there's a lot of people who be like, we shouldn't, because I like the comments of the video, and a lot of people are like, well, the only thing you should be pushing on the kids is God. Satan is where you draw the line. You could push God, but I think pushing God could be just as toxic
Yes.
as pushing
If
Satan.
anything, pushing God onto kids ends up turning them away
Exactly.
a lot
Exactly.
more often than not. So that's where I
Exactly.
understand where you were coming from.
So that's kind of where I was coming from, and I'm just like, if people are fine with them pushing God, then they should be fine with them pushing Satanism. That's what I feel. If you're fine with pushing religion, if you're fine with pushing anything,
any kind of religion, you should be okay with all of it.
exactly. So that's how I looked at it. It wasn't like, nah, the devil's right. They need to teach these fucking kids to be evil. Like, nah, that's not what I meant. That's how you're looking at it. Like, of course you're gonna agree with that shit. That's basically what I was saying.
All right. So I'll give my perspective as a child of two pastors. Grew up in the religious.
Like two male pastors? No, I'm playing. No, I'm playing.
Mom and dad, I'm sorry, but
Hey, Mr. Silver, about to get you now.
no, but
Mr. Silver. No, as he said that. Hello, Steven. I see you. You like
Hello,
to.
Steven.
You like,
I'm talking about what?
you know what? You know I could turn that into line. Eh?
he's like, I see you like to agree with Satanism.
Nah, so I will say this: the
That's
problem,
why. No.
the issue with this entire thing is that I had personally when I posted was just how are they okay with pushing Satanism, but they're so quick to take out God? That was my side of the argument. I still think it's wrong to push any religion onto any child. You got to let them make that. Like my parents, the first thing they asked me and my brothers before we understood anything that was going on, or once we understood what was going on, They said, do you guys want to believe in God? We all said yes. We all made the decision to say yes. And it's not like if we said no, they would have discarded us or anything like that. They gave us the choice. And that's what I think they should do with any of the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you should have the choice to choose between God and Satan. It is a choice, whether you choose it or not. Not choosing is you choosing one or the other anyway. So, honestly, I'm very much on both sides in a way. You know, if you're going to teach God, if you're going to force God, then it's not wrong to force the devil, even though I 100% think that it's wrong to teach something that is wholly evil. Because that's what I believe, that's what I know. You know, why would you teach something that is quite literally the epitome of darkness and evil, and then you got the epitome of goodness? But the problem is that the way people push, when you force anything onto anybody, especially kids, the first thing they want to do is rebel. You know what I mean? The first thing they want to do is be like, oh, mom and dad are pushing it onto us. That's how a lot of these pastors' kids turn into...
It's mostly teenagers too.
Yeah, they turn into the weirdos who end up becoming Satanists, or they end up doing some shit just to piss their parents off.
That's why you gotta do like the opposite, right? You gotta take the opposite to a teenager. They're gonna do the exact
not
opposite.
literally, not literally the opposite.
Don't follow God. You know what? I'm gonna follow God because you told me not to follow God. You know what I mean?
That could work in some cases, but
in some
ain't
cases,
gonna work
not
like
with that.
Don't have sex, all right? Do whatever you want.
Fuck everybody.
Get pregnant at a young age.
Yeah. Get pregnant. Fuck everybody. Keep the child.
Do whatever. Who gives a shit?
Nah, but it's just, you know, you can't force anything onto your child. I don't think schools should not force anything. There's nothing that should be forced. Even education should not be forced. You know what I mean? Everything should be a willing choice. That's why even like when they're trying to teach, like, this is gonna kind of, I guess, segue a little bit, but it's gonna, even when people are trying to push like the whole gender studies into like elementary schools and everything, gender studies should not be a thing until like high school, when you understand kind of what sex is. You know what I mean? But like
sex has in gender.
I feel like at that time,
just sex. Just because gender has a lot to do with sex. Gender really has nothing else to do with anything other than, I guess, like a sexual nature for the most part. Because the problem is that once, like, I don't know, I think we talked about it in another podcast, but we were saying that there was like some teacher who there was a kid who said, oh, I like my friends. Mind you, he has all guy friends. He's an elementary school kid. Obviously, you're friends with your boys because cooties and whatever. I think we talked about this before. And she was like, no, you're gay. Like you can't say that. Just like you can't in a Christian school unless you go there purposefully, like a Catholic school, unless you go there purposefully. But in a public school, we're talking about mostly public schools. Yeah. But if you go to a public school and everything, and I believe in God and I'm the teacher, and this kid's like, oh, Satan is bad, Satan is good, God is bad, I'm gonna be like, well, maybe you should talk to your parents about that. That's all you should say. You should not say, well, and then, you know, start putting your beliefs on them, especially because it's not your child. I feel like a lot of that stuff needs to be taught at home. Or it needs to be taught when you're much older and not know what you're talking about, but are cognizant enough to think about what you're gonna choose and everything like that. That way you know the weight of everything. Because when you're a kid, you don't know any of that shit. You don't know what any of that stuff means. You don't know. So you, like, you know, someone can easily just tell you the devil's good when you're 5, and you'll be like, okay, well, the devil's good. No questions asked. Yeah. Somebody can tell you God is evil. No questions asked. Yeah. You know, but
I disagree though. Like to an extent.
With what?
I do think they should teach those things like gender studies, or even if they're teaching about like sexual orientations to like children and stuff like that. I do think so in elementary school.
That's a little too early.
I feel like maybe not like kindergarten age, but like
even like 5th grade.
Where you get to like 4th or 5th grade, I would say.
I agree with Paul in high school. I feel like high school.
I feel like high school, no. Because once you get to the high school age, that comes the point where you don't really care what anybody says. You just care what the internet says. So your knowledge becomes based on what you're learning from internet, from social media.
Well, then if that's the case, it doesn't matter what you learn.
But no.
It's going to change regardless.
Yeah, it's going to change
regardless. No, but if you have somewhat of a decent mindset of it when you are younger, and have an understanding of it, then it'll be easy to understand it when that subject comes to you in the future. Okay. So if you learn about sexual orientation and stuff at a young age, and understand a decent amount of it, so when you're older, you'll understand how to process this information.
I get what you're saying. I guess just be...
But in the agreement with you, like what you said about that story with the teacher, I think that they shouldn't have people who are so one-sided on these subjects.
Yes,
I think if you're going to teach sexual orientation...
Teach both sides.
Teach both sides to it. You know, don't be like
you're gay. Don't just say you're
don't
gay
just jump
because
to
of this.
conclusions like that.
That's what I
you know
was
what
trying
I mean?
to get at.
Because I don't like that. I agree 100% with that. I don't like that teacher said that to that kid, because now that kid's gonna be confused. I think I am gay. Oh, my teacher said I'm gay. What the like? No, you shouldn't tell.
And
a
not
kid
to
their
mention you don't
sexuality.
know who his parents are. I'm just saying there's a lot of parents who are just not okay with that. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate, but the truth is that a lot of parents are just not okay with that,
and also,
especially foreign parents.
Yeah,
God.
of course.
Imagine.
But there should be levels to teaching it. Like in elementary school, they should be simple with it. There should be
I
simple
guess.
of talking about the existence of the people.
At least,
you know, like there are some people here with 2 dads. There are some people here with 2 moms.
Yeah.
Leave it as that. It don't be you know, sometimes you get these feelings where you want to experiment and all this stuff.
Yeah,
I think
like you don't got to talk about the
once you start getting the middle school around, then you can start talking about the experimental phases and stuff like that. But I think it's okay to sort of like normalize it in a way, so these kids have an understanding to these people and shit like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I fuck with that. That's
logical.
Yo, is this shit?
Other than that, I agree with everything else you said.